So with that, I would request Professor Suresh Chandra, sir, to please take on the mental and start the proceedings, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Brigadier Demon, for inviting me. And my salutations to all the participants. Professor Demon gave me a very a good introduction about me. Let me say that I am no authority on any subject. I just see here and there, and whatever views I can form, I do it. By training and my I'm an electrical engineer, headed the computer engineering departments, etc. And I'm no historian, but as all of you, I also read many things and then come to a conclusion. Let me start with a small anecdote because that will be relevant. A young colleague of mine in Iraq, in the computer department, asked me, sir, in those days, this Windows, etc. was not there. We had a disk operating system called DOS. And there was a DOS version 1, DOS version 2, DOS version 3. He asked me, sir, tell me one thing, that in our scriptures or in the religious history, the first was the Old Testament. Then came the Bible. Then came the Quran. He said, why couldn't God create because the Muslims think God to be the Quran to be the ultimate book. Why could God couldn't create the last book, that is the Quran, before experimenting with the other books? Then, because he understood computer, like this, it is like this. We had DOS version 1. Then changes were made, DOS version 2. And then came the DOS version 3. So he had a hearty laugh. What point I'm trying to make is, we think at a particular point of time, people should have acted in a manner which we think today they should have acted. That I think is grossly unfair. Whatever people did at the time, they did it according to their wisdom, without any ill intention. Now we are trying to find the motives in that. I think that's unfair because they are not there to defend themselves. And about Nehru, a lot of propaganda is being done, as if Nehru is the villain of the piece about the Kashmir. It's necessary when we go for delimitation, it's necessary that we have built up a background. One great thing did Nehru, people say that why did he go to the United Nations? He was a clever man. He went under chapter 6, not chapter 7. Chapter 7, any resolution of the Security Council is binding on the parties. Whereas if you go under chapter 6, it's not binding on you. And another thing which is very important to note, the world geopolitical situation in 1947 was not what is today. And there was every possibility that a plebiscite could have been done in Jammu and Kashmir. As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, Admiral Nimitz or something like that, he was appointed as the administrator, plebiscite commissioner. And about saying the plebiscite thing, when Junagadh signed its willingness to join Pakistan, then Patel or the government of India held a plebiscite there. And 98% or 99% people favored Pakistan, India. So the government of India stand was, no, the matter rests. Because the problem there was the Nawab of Junagadh was a Muslim and the population majority was a Hindu population, just the reversal of the Jammu and Kashmir. Therefore, Nehru could not have one standard for Junagadh, another standard for Jammu and Kashmir. And he knew it very well, that if at any time the referendum is to be done. Referendum we cannot be what you call in favor of India without Sheikh's help. And in an article I have written that Nehru and Sheikh were no friends. They were using both each other because Sheikh did not want to go to Pakistan. And Nehru knew that Kashmir cannot be with India without Sheikh Abdullah. So he started cultivating his friendship since 1930s. That's besides the point. Of course, I cannot forget that the Nehru had a dislike for Maharaja Hari Singh. I do not know how many of you can remember. Many of you are young. At a public meeting in parade ground, in front of what is now the Women College, there was no government women college at that time at that place. It was a military barrack or something like that. Nehru at that time, Sheikh Abdullah and Nehru were the two principal speakers in that meeting. I was a young boy, maybe 10 years or 12 years. Nehru said that didn't Hari Singh know that he is going to, when you know that Nehru was stopped at Kohata or somewhere and was prevented to come to Jammu and Kashmir and was perhaps placed under house arrest or something like that. He said, didn't Maharaja know that he is arresting the future Prime Minister of India? So that was his, I think, too much on Nehru's part. And I remember, I was a small boy, there was a murmuring in the audience, especially from the Rajput community. But there were no protests about Nehru's lecture on that day. I still can visualize Nehru. He was smoking the cigarette also at that time. He was not wearing the traditional Gandhi cap while sitting on the chair. So things are not as simple as we see from the present time of view. So what I meant was that both needed each other. And I've written, I think somewhere in September or October, the article was published in Daily Excelsior, where I told historically that was the fact. And will you be surprised? Nehru sometime in 30s advised Kashmiri Pandits that if you want to survive in state, you must join national conference, otherwise you have no future in Kashmir. I do not know whether he had the foresight to look at what 1999 happened. He was very clear in his mind that, and he never considered Sheikh Abdullah to be a secular. In certain correspondence and certain private conversations, he said, yes, I know that Sheikh Abdullah is a commoner. So that's besides the point. Now coming to the delimitation, you see, it's a wonderful thing that because of delimitation, many stalwarts from Jammu have started speaking on this. As a matter of fact, it has become what you call a place, an opportunity to articulate the anger of Jammu. Anger of Jammu, I mean, because Jammu has been neglected, there is no doubt. It has been brought out in many commissions. But we should understand the limitations of the Delimitation Commission. Delimitation Commission is not a judge in the conventional sense. And they go by the terms of reference which have been given to them. If you ask to the Delimitation Commission that you should go by the 2021 census, which are still to be held, that's not their mandate. They can't do it. As a judge has to go by the book. He goes by the Criminal Procedure Act or whatever it is. You can't say, no, this act is not good. It is anti-people. No. As long as it is on the statute book, judge will have to go by the act or CRPC or whatever it is, I do not know the legal terminology, and the facts placed before him. Judge doesn't go and investigate. That's very important. Judge is not an investigating authority. So similarly, Delimitation Commission cannot be the place where we can go and tell that we have been wrong, injustice has been done. But nevertheless, it was a good exercise. At least people knew that Jammu is restive and certain corrective measures have to be taken. So in that context, I think it was a very positive move by the people who went to the delimitation commission and held demonstrations also, because you should have an occasion to voice your grievances, etc. So that is about as it is. And another thing which I must mention at this place, because there are so many people, that there has been a narrative built up by the National Conference, headed by Sheikh Abdullah about 1931, that the Dogra forces massacred Kashmiri Muslims. So this is a very, very, what you call, thing uncharitable in the sense that Dogra's suppression is a very, very mistaken belief which we take. If you go by the 1941 census, in the preface it says, during the Mughal, Pathan, Sikh periods, the lot of present peasant was very hard. In the Kashmir province, they possessed rather no property rights, no occupancy rights. All land was owned by the state. The cultivator was permitted to occupy the land only so long as he paid the rent when it became due. And it further says that they got only about 33% of their savings. Whereas in Jammu, people have the right to the land which they were tilling. So to say that the Dogras were responsible for the the state of affairs in the Kashmir and their problems there, that's absolutely wrong. It was there already, whereas the Dogra rule during Hari Singh, they got more privileges, and this fact has never been brought to light to my knowledge, that during Hari Singh's time, they got representation in Praja Sabha, etc., etc. Similarly, many authors in national media also say that Sheikh Abdullah did not get the job after he came from Aligarh Muslim University, after completing his MSc chemistry. He was appointed as a lecturer, and his first posting was at Ranbir Singhpura. The problem was that he was not found qualified to become a lecturer in the college. He wanted to become lecturer, perhaps his marks were less or whatever will be the reason. And with a hindsight, if he had become a lecturer in SP College or Amar Singh College or Prince of Wales College, Jammu, perhaps he would not have become a mass leader. It was his anger that why he has not become a lecturer. That's besides the point. So it's not that he was denied the job, he was given the job. So this is what I wanted to say. Another thing which you see, this when Brigadier Dhiman asked me to say anything, then I thought that I must look at what is happening in our neighbor POK or the Azad Kashmir. Their assembly is a very, very interesting thing to study. The assembly of Azad Kashmir has 49 seats, sorry. Just a minute. 49 seats, and out of 49 seats, 41 are elected, 5 are for women, who they are what you call nominated. 1 is for the member from the ulema community, 1 is from the technocrats from Jammu and Kashmir, and 1 is for the persons who are residing outside Jammu and Kashmir in the foreign country, notably UK. So these 8 seats, they are nominated by the powers that be. But the most interesting part about 41 seats is that out of 41 seats, the 35 seats, 28 seats are distributed in 3 divisions. Now, Azad Kashmir has 3 divisions, Mirpur, Poonch, and Muzaffarabad. 29 seats are distributed there. And the most interesting fact which I came to know is that 12 seats are reserved, 6 seats, sorry. 6 seats are reserved for the people from Jammu region who migrated to Pakistan and living outside of Jammu Kashmir or the POK. There are 6 seats reserved for them, scattered all over Pakistan, Karachi, Rawalpindi, Lahore, etc. Sialkot also. And 6 seats are reserved for the people from Valley who migrated to Pakistan. They are also like at Karachi, Lahore, and wherever they are. And that's why I'm mentioning this fact is, this is something akin to what Kashmiri Pandits are demanding. That since we are not living in the valley and are in no future perhaps we can go, therefore there should be a reservation for us. Or to some extent, POJK refugees are also, not refugees, sorry, that is not the terminology. Displaced persons are also asking. But our constitution doesn't allow this kind of reservation. And it's fine that people went to the Delimitation Commission asking reservation for Kashmiri Pandits, asking for Sikhs, asking for the POJK refugees or displaced persons, and all that. But our constitution is very clear. We can have only reservation for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, and for none. Even OBC are asking no, that seats should be reserved for them. So this reservation of seats is a very ticklish thing, and is not, in my opinion, in the interest of the country. As a matter of fact, all the reservations which are there should, over a period of time, should go away. But anyhow, this is not a proper forum to discuss, and perhaps not the proper time also. And I think Brigadier Demon said somewhere that about the voters. The voters from this West Pakistan who participate in the Lok Sabha elections is about 90,000. And I'm told that, I do not know, there's no verification, that the people from POJK who are here in Jammu and Kashmir state are about 7 to 8 lakhs, or maybe little more. But another thing which I wish to say, because there are many people on this maybe in the occasion, that we do not have a history of Jammu as such. There are 2 history books, and it's a very laborious process. Muhammad Yusuf Saraf has written 2 volumes consisting of 769 pages and 679 pages about Jammu Kashmir. Of course, many facts which he has mentioned there. He was the Chief Justice of Azad Kashmir High Court. But he did take pains to find out many facts. Factually, it's not wrong, but his interpretation of the things, what happened in 47 and thereafter, is a different thing, questionable. But I wanted to say that history, you see, that it's a very laborious work, and the Azad Jammu Kashmir or POJK government established, as a matter of fact, a committee on his initiative, which had all the practically bureau, including the chief secretary of that portion, and various bureaucrats, etc., the history people and all that, to assist or make the history. So the people who are saying that the history should be written, it's a very noble thought. But for that, lot of work has to be done, and lot many people have to be involved who can do this work. Thank you, gentlemen, though I was supposed to do, on delimitation, because there is not much on delimitation we can really say, because the delimitation commission is guided by the terms of reference. They can make a small tinkering here and there, not much. But one thing I will mention here, since the Delimitation Commission has appointed nodal officer in each district, people can approach those nodal officers and pursue them that the facts and figures are properly placed before the commission. As all of you will be knowing that the data is many times fudged. It depends upon how the data is presented. So it should be incumbent on the people who are fighting for it. They should have the liaison with the nodal officers so that the data is not, I will not say fight, it's not presented in a, you see, data can be represented in any form. I'm a student of the data analysis also. So it depends how data is presented to the person. So if the data is presented in the manner in which we think it should be presented, the person responsible for that will be the nodal officer. Now the Delimitation Commission is going to be acting on the data provided by the DMs through the nodal officers. So the nodal officers are going to play a very important role, because I don't think if they have all the final data, or even if they have the data, that still can be changed. And one thing which, of course, I should have mentioned earlier, that besides population, I wrote also that if we take both population and area as such cannot be considered by law, but because of various other factors, area does come into case. And I calculated by area and population and the voters list of 2014, Lok Sabha election, which were held in 2019. The seat share of Jammu comes to about 48, and the seat share of Kashmir comes to about 42. And if you want, I can give you the figures that which district is going to gain what. Just a minute. I will just take a second.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thanks a lot.
You really given us
for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. And you've been very benevolent to the authorities of that time, and you've been very generous and judicious to view their opinions and their actions. To some extent, I'm also with you. Yes, they had certain different circumstances, different compulsions, so they did what they did. And also, you are of the opinion that the present Delimitation Commission by Mr. Justice Ranjan Desai would not be able to do much because they have to work on the data presented to them. Sir, the very problem that I was confronting in Jammu from people, from various speakers, when I interacted with them, and that was the reason we went in for this particular webinar on this subject, was they always said the data was fudged. Well, you also used the word fudged, but then you retracted and said it's the presentation of data. Of course, I am aware the data mining techniques which are there in the modern day, and we present it in a particular manner. But then I am also privy to certain incidents which says that the census which has been presented is not the right kind of done with a good intention. So that is another major point. I'm sure our next speaker is going to address to that whatever census of 2011 has come, this has not got the right kind of thumbs up from the masters. Though it says very funny figures, a decrease in Jammu and increase in Kashmir, which is not possible by any stretch of imagination or even any logic.
Sir, I will
So that is the point which needs to be discussed, and I'm sure we'll be able to do it. And maybe at the end, if the requirement is there, I would give you these personal incidents which I've taken from primary sources and how they are presented, and even a bureaucrat's statement, which I'll be able to tell you later. It says if 2001 census what they did on ground, but whatever's come out is what was decided in the secretariat. Similarly, if you ask them to do 2021 census, that would also come out of the secretariat and not on ground. So those are the infringements, those are the dichotomies, those are the controversies which will remain. People will always be for it or against it. So I hope the next speaker will do it. But
Before
before I go on to that,
I will just have a half a minute.
Yeah, before I go into that, I would request Professor Suresh to give his point.
Half a minute. About the census data, you see, I will not say it is fight. You know, the census, how data is collected. They send the school teachers and others, and they just do it. But more authentic data is the election voter data, because the names are there. The census data is not known about the people as such. And the Jammu census data, the interesting part of 2011 is there are more Hindi-speaking people than Dogri people in Jammu, which to my mind is absurd. So you can say what kind of this data is. They have found that people are speaking Hindi. I mean, they can be speaking other languages, but Hindi-speaking people to be more than the Dogri-speaking people in Jammu division, it doesn't click to my mind. So that is one thing that it is either fight. It's not fight. It's, I will say, the inefficiency.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. I'll give you an insight into that.